What's going on, guys? Time for the weekly shop update. Just got a handful of little things to go over this week, and we're going to try to keep this one relatively quick, or at least under the 20-minute mark. I'm really not trying to do that every week for you guys, as I'm sure most of us have better things to do than watch me ramble on for that long. But, maybe 10-15 minutes. We'll see where it goes. But I got a couple of little projects that I worked on this week, couple of goals that I've been trying to meet for a while now, that I went ahead and at least started. And also got a bit of a bonehead lesson learned, or maybe a bonehead mistake that I'm suffering the consequences of, that I'll go over. And then I've got some other little projects I can kind of show you, or bring you in on as well. But first things first, I did launch RileyKnifeandTool.com this week. As I've mentioned already, I had ARCustomKnives.com for a few years now, and really wasn't doing very much of anything at all with it. I had some galleries on there of some of my previous work. In the past I had sold a handful of items using it, or at least advertised some items. And aside from that, I really didn't do much of anything with it. It kind of fell to the wayside for far too long. I kind of started cycling through. I mean, there were thousands of comments, 99.9% of which were spamming, the website with all kinds of nonsense. Maybe one out of 200 of them was somebody actually asking a question about a knife or tool or product that I had made, or complimenting a video I had made on my YouTube, or maybe they had found me after searching AR Custom Knives. But other than that, it was very underutilized, and probably a little bit more of a waste than anything useful. So I did go ahead and shut that down. I deleted it, especially given that I changed from AR Custom Knives to Riley Knife and Tool anyhow. And that said, I do still want a website. I still need a website, and I would like to utilize it much more effectively going forward. So I did buy RileyKnifeandTool.com, the domain. I've launched it. For now, I've just added a couple of real basic pages, one with my social media links, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, my email address, if anybody needs to contact me for whatever reason. And I've also got an About Me page, which right now is just real basic, doesn't have hardly any info at all other than my name and where I'm from. And then I also have one page which kind of leads me into another thing I was going to talk about. I've got one that lists my sharpening services. Another thing, I've actually started offering knife and tool sharpening, basically for just my local area here in or around Valparaiso, Indiana. Maybe within 10 or 20 minutes of me, I'm willing to go pick up and drop off any knives or tools that people around me might have to sharpen. I figured it'd just kind of be a nice little side gig, just to offer, kind of get my name out there, as well as, maybe pay for some of these materials and tools. Not going to get rich off of it by any means. It's really not about that. But another part of it, to be honest, is kind of to do a little bit of an experiment as well. Just kind of interested to see maybe how word of mouth works as far as growing a brand or a business. And part of it is growing Riley Knife and Tool as well. I do a lot of selling on, the internet, the forums, through Instagram, so on and so forth, Facebook. But at the same time, I've done quite a bit of selling locally as well, usually to coworkers or to people who know others that I've worked with, or relatives. They might know my brother or something and find out I'm a knife maker. So that is a pretty good chunk of business I've had in the past. And I just kind of like to see if maybe I could rekindle that a little bit as well, through word of mouth. Maybe start with the sharpening and, see if that leads to other things. Or if it doesn't, like I say, it's kind of a little bit of an experiment and maybe a little bit of a learning process as well. And, that kind of thing is kind of fun for me. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, I've actually got my first customer already. And that was kind of part of what even initiated all of this. It's something I've actually been thinking about doing for years now. But my brother actually had mentioned me to one of his friends. She had put a post on Facebook, does anybody know where I can get some knives sharpened? And he put my name up there asking if I could do it. And I said, you know what, I can do it, as a matter of fact. And, I'm actually kind of already thinking about offering that more regularly. So it kind of blew up into what it is. So I put that page up with some prices. Anybody watching this, if you're local to Valpo or Northwest Indiana, shoot me a message. You got some knives, some tools, lawnmower blades. I'm not doing saws. I'm not doing swords. I'm not doing straight razors. I can do all those things, but I'm really not set up to do it properly or efficiently. So at this point, I'm not doing it, for now. Maybe in the future, but certainly kitchen knives, little hand tools, gardening tools, hunting knives, fishing knives, what have you. Check out the prices, look me up. I'll get them brought back to life for you. If any of you watching this are local to my area. Which, by the way, if you guys are watching these, if you watch these regularly, if you follow my work, leave me a comment below. Let me know. I know there's a couple of you, like Kylie Harris. I appreciate if you're watching this. I appreciate that you kind of reached back out to me after a few years here, found me again, however that ended up. He was leaving me some nice compliments on my recent knife that I made. Which, by the way, I'll just kind of segue into these here. I've got 10 blanks profiled out, one of which I'm definitely keeping, but I'm going to start heat treating these hopefully in the next couple of days, get them all surface ground, and then maybe start doing, a couple a week or something, just kind of as I have some time, or maybe I'll do them all at once, I don't know. Also got some more inlay material, just a couple colors here, orange, red, green, black. I've got some black and brown linen micarta still for the main handle material, so I'll be doing kind of some combos between that and these. Kind of looking forward to see how those work out. As I think I mentioned last week, that one did sell, and my father-in-law bought it, as a matter of fact. And he seems to really enjoy it. So I'd like to make some more. I really like the design, and I'd definitely like to make one for myself, and I'm gonna see if I can maybe streamline the process a little bit more as well. Probably won't do a whole lot of hand rubbing on most of these. See if I can maybe refine a different grind or finishing process for that. Maybe cut that price down a little bit as well for the future ones. But we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of those things I've been working on. Kind of getting back to my dummy mistake here. I think I mentioned in the beginning. This is part of the motor from my shop vac. My main shop vac I've had for years now. It's a rigid kind of vac blower combo unit. I've used it pretty heavily for a number of years, and it's been going great. It's been running well. There's not a thing wrong with it till tonight. Made a very stupid mistake of setting a box on top of the vac. I was moving some stuff. I meant to just set it down temporarily. I forgot about it, and I left a box covering the vent hole, where all the heat from the motor blows out while it's running. And, I had my headphones in. I didn't hear the change in the pitch, or, that I was kind of struggling. you know, it was still sucking, it was still working. But I didn't realize it until it was too late. And what actually ended up happening, there's a little temperature switch here that melted. It's a little thermal fuse. Not a big deal. You know, it melted. It's no longer functional. But I have already ordered a new part. You know, you can get these switches for like $5, or I think I paid $7 or $10 for 5 of them. I should have one here Monday or Tuesday. And that'll just be a quick swap out, get all that back together, and should be able to fire it right back up. And maybe I'll do a little additional video on that. But it kind of brought me back to a lesson I've learned over and over and over again. It's one of the few things from a particular professor that I still remember in college. You know, nothing against the guy. He was a very, very smart guy, very good, you know, as far as electrical work and theory. It was in one of my double E classes or double ET classes, one of the two that I took under him. And I did learn some other stuff in his class, but he really wasn't that great of a professor. He did teach me one thing, though, that I've always remembered. And that is, he told us one day that any failure, at least 99.9% of failures of equipment, whether it's, you know, a $10 radio up to a $100,000 automobile, or you know, maybe several $1,000 appliance, or you know, what have you, fill in the blank. 99.9% of those failures can typically be traced, you know, as far as a root cause failure, to a very cheap and insignificant part of that item or product. You know, for instance, you might shut down a $100,000 car, you know, with a 5-cent resistor blowing up on the main computer board or something, you know. And usually there's other contributing factors, to be sure, but his main point was that a lot of times you can fix most things very inexpensively. And, you know, sometimes you'll take it into a technician, you might pay $500 or $1,000 for a repair. He might only need, you know, a $2, $3, $4, $5 part. And yeah, you're paying also for that experience. You know, I don't want to discount that at all. You're paying for the knowledge, you're paying for their tools. But the point still stands, you know, I could go out and buy another $150, $200 shop vac, or, you know, this little $2 part I could cut out of there. And, you know, I could just jumper it out and get it working right now. But it's probably not a bad idea, especially for something like a shop vac. You know, you got to think you've got dust floating around that's combustible, if not explosive. You've got forced air that could, you know, make it even worse. If that thing were to overheat and catch on fire, you know, all for, what, a $2 part, it doesn't make sense to kind of rig it up and jumper it out. I need to just go ahead and fix it right, and you know, keep that shop vac going for maybe another few years. Everything else is fine on it. You know, the bearings are good, and you know, when they go out, I'll probably change those. But you know, it's just one of those things. It's funny. You know, a lot of guys, they'd throw it in the trash, they'd write it off. And if you got the money to burn, you know, why not go buy a new one, buy a better one, whatever. But you know, if you got the knowledge, if you got the time, if you got the tools, it only makes sense. If I could fix that for $2, why would I go buy another one for $200, right? So maybe I'll make another video on that. But that was kind of just a little dummy mistake. Don't block off your vents on your tools. My bad. One other thing I will mention, by the way, I know a lot of you guys probably saw my little temper tantrum on Instagram. I did get a new set of drill bits. I still cheaped out just a little bit, to be honest. I probably should have spent another $50 or $100. But I got these drill hogs on eBay. They ran me about $150, $160. You know, they actually seem like pretty good bits. You know, it's a full set, every bit I would ever need. They're M7 high moly tool steel. Very sharp. They should last very long. They cut very well. I actually drilled all the holes in these knives, 1/2 inch quarter and 3/32. They worked very well, cut very sharp for that. No issues at all. You know, I did use a little bit of cutting fluid, as well as proper feeds and speeds, of course. But very happy with how they cut, and they should work as well as any other drill bit. I've been told they're comparable, if not the same bits, maybe made from the same facility that Norseman uses. I don't know about that. But just a handful I pulled out. They seem very well made, very well finished, very sharp. And there was a little bit of wobble in a couple of them. I think it's actually my drill chuck. I need to chuck a couple of these up in a good collet and just verify that. But I do need to replace my main, actually my lathe chuck and my mill chuck. They're both crappy Chinese Shars. But, you know, that's for another day. And maybe, you know, when I get a little extra funds coming. But I think that's all I'm going to mention. I've got some business cards coming in, if I didn't mention that, for, you know, Riley Knife and Tool. They'll be coming in soon, Monday. They've also, well, I'll show them to you next update. And like I said, I want to keep this one under 20 minutes. So we're actually going to cut this one off now. Still rambled on longer than I wanted to. But I did have a couple things I wanted to mention there. But again, you know, if you're following me, if you like my stuff, or if you don't like it, leave a comment below. Tell me what you'd rather see or what you don't want to see, or, you know, give me some constructive criticism. Or at the very least, say hi, tell me how you found me, or maybe how long you followed my work. You know, I would like a little bit more interaction with you guys. Like I say, Kylie, I appreciate. Kylie Harris from CKC Knives, or formerly of. I appreciate you reaching out to me and leaving me some comments. I've been enjoying your videos, by the way, and I need to probably interact on those a little bit more, you know, since I'm asking. But yeah, leave some comments, guys. I appreciate those of you who do. And, you know, let's create that dialogue, make this more of a two-way conversation. And here we are getting close to 20 again. So that's it, guys. Happy Independence Day, by the way. And we'll see you guys next week.